All right. Hey, welcome everyone to this Oklahoma themed Hate Week deep dive. Ian, it's your time to shine. It is your nemesis. It is the team that you love to hate. I join you in that hate, and that hate is reciprocal. They're not big fans of Texas. And this is what it's all about, the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. We're going to try to show you some of the vulnerabilities of this Oklahoma Sooners football team. And we're going to try to show you where there's some opportunity not only against Auburn, but also against, surprisingly, the Kent State Golden Flashes. But if you want the most in-depth and best conversation about the Texas Longhorns, I need you to go to Inside Texas. $1 is going to get you a subscription, and you're going to get access to all of the best Longhorn conversation. It's Hate Week. Let's go. Let's get our hate on. We have the Auburn game here. First quarter, 2nd and 14. Ball in the Auburn 34, 9:32 on the clock. We're going to just do a straight little roll drop back concept from Mateer. He's looking downfield, and it ain't going to go great for the Sooners here because they're going max protect. But max protect with Jaren Kanak is not max protect, Ian. You've made the observation that you should treat him as a receiver, not a tight end. And he's about to prove it here on this play going against Auburn's excellent defensive end, Keldrick Faulk. All right, Jaren, let's compete, buddy. And he fires, and we're not competing.
Does this give you PTSD?
It looks familiar. Good heavens. Ian, what's your take on this?
Actually, part of the reason I picked this beyond, I could have picked other plays where, like, their right tackle, Derek Simmons, got sacked. He gave up 2 sacks on Kent State, which is maybe even more important for Texas's game than this was. But on this particular play, this is where he broke his thumb. He like jammed it into Keldrick Faulk's arm, which is apparently has the density of a titanium beam. And that is why we may not see Mateer in the game.
In fairness to Kanak, and there's not a lot of fairness we can offer based on that effort there, but Faulk is about 6'6", 280. Very physical, strong, long guy. Kanak is not a big tight end, but we need to get a little better. We need to get a little more competition there, Jared.
I love how they're like, let's move the pocket.
Yeah, towards Jared.
They just go right into, their splits and their spread and the mobility of their quarterbacks are doing all of the heavy lifting for Oklahoma.
Hey, on that point, Ian, we're having a little fun here because, believe me, any Sooner fans who roll into here, you could go watch our breakdown of the Texas offensive line. We're calling balls and strikes here, but look at the size of those splits. That is massive, and so that is an important thing that we do have to prepare for. There are different ways you can approach this. I think that we need to attack those splits, but. You know, some people say you're playing into their hands, right?
I'm very glad that PK faced Leach multiple times to understand what you do here. The key is you need to attack, but as Will Muschamp learned, you can't go wide. You have to go up.
Yes.
And especially because their quarterbacks, if you go wide, they'll just step up, they'll run through. You have to keep them in front of you.
That's right. Well, the good news here is Keldrick Faulk does whatever he wants. So this is a template for Texas. And whenever a Texas edge faces Jaren Kanak, you need to attack him physically. Don't respect that he's going to block you. Like, you've got to run through the guy. That guy actually is very fast and athletic, and he has provided some big plays for them in the passing game, surprisingly. But he is a non-blocker. Not only in terms of size, but disposition, temperament, and technique.
All right, Paul, we got another example here involving Jaren Kanak. This is 1st and 20, balls on the Auburn 22. They just picked up a turnover on the Tigers. They're trying to maximize. And for whatever reason, they decide to run duo. Technically, it's like one of their base runs in their playbook. I don't know why, because the point of duo is your tight end, if you run it from the spread, your tight end has to block a defensive end so that you can get double teams to get the duo effect. Fasusi is going to try to help Kanik get a double. Ozaida is going to do a Texas. He's going to audition for the Texas left guard position. And Weiwu, the right guard, is going to do the same. And you're just going to see just disaster ensue here very quickly.
Uh-oh.
Really a disaster.
Uh-oh. Look how little help Kanik is. He's just literally doing like jazz hands. He didn't even like deliver a blow. And when the guys started to barely press upfield, Kanik was like, I'm not about that life. Go ahead. Like, if you really want to get there that bad, go ahead. And yeah, 77 gets completely olayed. That was very Connor Stroh like. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that looks familiar. I want you to notice the way we go to the ground for no reason. One of my favorite metrics, Ian, is counting Texas O-line on the ground. And OU is also a part of that metric. Thank you, producer, for circling him and watching this powerful fire out. Ah!
This is really cathartic for you, isn't it?
I mean, it is and it isn't, because in a weird way, I'm bonding with the Sooners over offensive line woes, and I don't want to bond with them. But it should make Texas fans feel a little better that there are other bottom quartile offensive lines in the SEC.
So here's the big takeaway here: is the same thing we were saying in the last clip. Kanik is a receiver. They use him as a tight end sometimes. Maybe don't count on that as much in this game after the failures they've stacked from that in the past. I noticed against Michigan, anytime they were running the ball in a high leverage situation, you could bet all your money that the ball was going to go away from Kanik's side.
Yes.
So that's a nice tendency for Texas to scout. Texas needs to spin this game in dime. There's no reason to respect this Oklahoma run game. You need to be in dime full time, probably, and treat Kanik as a receiver with your personnel packages so that you can get as much speed and coverage and ability to disguise and confuse on the field as possible.
I'm debating your dime theory, depending on how we dispose it. Meaning, dime is the personnel, 6 defensive backs. I think we would be not well served to run that with a light or even honest box. I might have a +1 in the box if we're going to run dime. And then have man under with some of that, and then still park a couple of guys deep, right? Because I am worried about them just running quarterback lead with Hawkins from a no tight end concept, right? Where we have a 5-man box and a couple of those guys are light in the britches.
I would absolutely drop into different types of cover 3 and make them throw underneath coverage outside, potentially bait a crosser into a safety over the middle. That's a key. And if they run Hawkins 20 times on quarterback lead for 52 yards, I feel fine about that. 70.
What if they run him 20 times for 114 yards?
I don't feel as great about that unless he fumbles, which he might. But I'm very happy for them to just spam quarterback lead, even if they're getting some first downs and moving the chain some, because I think it's going to diminish his ability to throw even further. They're not going to be able to score on it, and you increase the chance of a fumble. That's like one of the top ways this defense has been at forcing turnovers is punching the ball out.
Yeah, got to get Ty Anthony Smith out there in that dime. I'll tell you that. One thing that you presaged, foreshadowed very well, forcing Hawkins to throw outside of the hash. We're going to have some nice ones on that one to illustrate why we want to force that. So let's go to the next clip. All right, so third quarter against Kent State, the mighty Golden Flashes, Ian. 2nd and 10, balls on the Kent State 46, 11:42 on the clock. We're going to watch a strange misthrow by Mike Locke. You can't fully see it here. Wait till we get the behind shot, and you're going to die laughing. But this is why we want him throwing outside the hashes. Okay? He's going to get the ball. They're already giving up an immediate interior pressure. Does that look familiar, Longhorn fans? And old Hawk is going to let it go. Yay! Look at that release as he steps backwards in classic quarterback form.
Man, can we see that again?
Ah! I mean,
He
the guy wasn't
throws.
going to nail him, really. I mean, he was pressured, certainly, but he wasn't about to take one under the chin, was he?
No, this ball goes nowhere near the receiver. Also, very
Yeah, is there a way the camera can't even follow the ball? But yeah, let's.
this
We
is just.
gotta the
There's
ball.
another receiver out there. If you go back to the wide cam producer, you
Yeah,
can
see
see.
if you can. So watch up at the top that top receiver and see where the ball goes if you can. This is like trying to follow a hockey puck. Die.
That is a Chuck Knobloch life taker into the
Yeah.
stands right there.
Hey man, it happens. Every quarterback will have an odd release, but that was not. I don't think that was a ball slipped release. That was I overreacted slightly to this pressure from the interior. And,
It's also just how he throws the ball half the time. He throws it almost every time like he's a shortstop trying to turn a double.
I'm telling you, Ian, and I know I've said it many times. Patrick Mahomes has ruined entire generations of young quarterbacks. So
This guy in particular.
Yeah, well, we just wanted to show you what it looks like when you force OU to throw outside of the hashes, and you have to put a little bit of timing, touch, and placement on the ball. It can look a little like that.
Now, granted, it could be Mateer.
Yeah,
Though I have I think more doubt on that than most. But Mateer is, if you force Mateer to throw outside the hash marks underneath coverage consistently, it won't be like this. Oh, actually, it might be because he hurt his thumb. But it won't be. It definitely won't be like Tom Brady.
no, I don't think anyone will make that comparison. But yeah, I mean, John Mateer raises the ceiling and the floor of this offense, certainly. You know what? I'm actually a little more scared of him, not just as a runner per se, but really his ability to pull big time throws out of thin air in big moments. I mean, that's how they beat Auburn, other than the cheat play. But I mean, he is capable of making really good throws sometimes. You're like, holy cow, how did he see that?
By the way, the cheat play came immediately after the
bad duo.
Stuffed run just now.
Yeah.
In the all 22, the receiver's not in the all 22.
Yeah.
Because the cameraman didn't know he was on the field.
Yeah. No one else did either.
No one else did either.
All right, let's go to the next clip. Hey guys, it's Hate Week, but I'm going to give you something that you love. The best damn mortgage guy in the great state of Texas, which makes him the best damn mortgage guy in the United States. That's Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. Why Gabe? Over 20 years in the industry. Dude's got a law degree, former National Merit Scholar, and a proud Texas alum who hates Oklahoma just as much as you do. You know what he also hates? People who are bad at their job. Like all the other mortgage lenders who work for Big Bank USA. Gabe is a mortgage broker who works for himself. And that means he's going to take and craft a deal for you that he shops to 60 other lenders and lets them bid for your deal and his services. That's the system you want to set up. That's the excellence you want. Gabe is a stud. He's a badass. Dial these digits. 832-557-1095.
All right, this next one, 3rd and 10 in the third quarter with 11:37. It's the immediate next play after the last strange Hawkins Knobloch throw. And he's going to toss sidearm on the move across his body, nearly picked. And then you don't catch this on all 22, but then he followed this up by griping at his receiver and telling him he was supposed to sit down and zone, which he did, Paul. He did sit down and zone.
Also, Hawkins is drifting left. So the sit down is trying to mirror his movement. You're not going to sit down moving the other direction, right? You're not going to sit down against the grain when the quarterback's throwing against his body. Nonetheless, he's putting the ball in peril here against zone coverage. Guess which I would prefer to run against OU on Saturday? Zone or man, Ian?
If they play a lot of man against Oklahoma on Saturday, if it doesn't feature at the very least like robbers and spies in the middle of the field, I'm going to lose it.
I will know that we have a malignant influence in our game planning.
Yes, I think that would be putting it lightly. Yeah,
Uh,
you want the zone not only for this, because Mateer will sail balls too, but also so that everyone can converge on the inevitable 20 scrambles that Oklahoma tries to do to manufacture offense.
Look at his release here. Producer, can you go back? Yes, thank you. Side arm. Yes. Yeah, look at this really. And by the way, he's leaping in the air as he releases it. Again, this is a shortstop turning a double play. Watch him. Boom, 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 boom. Wah! Why is he doing that? Just throw the ball.
I went on Behind Enemy Lines with Brandon Drum earlier this week, and he noted that Hawkins like grew up with the Murrays and trained with Kyler Murray's dad and trained with like Mahomes or Mahomes guy or something. And it shows, sort of.
You know what's weird about that, Ian? Kevin Murray, back in the day, when he was the Aggie quarterback, very technical quarterback. Like it all looks like a clinic when he drops back. Weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe they were overawed by their son's abilities to play on the move, like doing all these things that they couldn't do, and just kind of got away from him.
Nonetheless, another good example supporting our contention that we want Hawkins throwing it outside the hashes.
All right, this one, the ball is on the Auburn 3-yard line, as you can see. 1st and 10 in the second quarter with 14:45, and Auburn is going to take a ultra max protect, 9 guys in protection, 2 guys out on route, just a shot to, I believe, Cam Coleman. And for whatever reason, the Sooners have young Cortland Guillory in coverage, and he just gets demolished. Now, I would contend, Paul, and I think anyone that watched the Auburn game would probably agree with me, that Oklahoma's secondary and coverage is probably a meaningful step down from last year. But you don't see it consistently because they haven't faced really any good quarterbacks yet, and their pressure is so good.
Yeah, I think it's hard to distinguish their disguise and their pressure from their pure coverage ability.
Yes.
Because if you can get them into pure coverage situations, multiple guys in that secondary are very gettable. But Venables, man, he does a lot. And it's really interesting the ways that he can get and just manufacture instant pressure and force you into stuff that you see the easy matchup and you're trying to get it out there, but it just doesn't get there. But here's a great example of how you can. I really think Venables regretted this particular coverage scheme of sort of one-on-one, man, and you got one safety parked deep. And I don't know why Guillory would possibly squat on what's a pretty obvious go route. That's crazy.
This actually happened a couple times in the game, though.
Yeah.
This exact thing. One thing that I do not want Sark to take from this is that
it's only deep shots.
Well, yeah, but also like max protect and 12 protection and 12 personnel. No. Auburn did that because they're like, look, we have studs outside. If we can load the box and encourage Oklahoma to match us in numbers in the box, then maybe Jackson Arnold can hit some one read shots outside. And he did hit a couple, and he drew a couple DPIs.
Very important aspect of this. This is they're backed up on their 3. It's 1st and 10.
Safety blitz.
Well, but point is, OU's playing tendency and field position right here, trying to get a safety, a turnover, like stuff the run, right? They think Auburn's going to run it out to get some room. Hugh Freeze says, no, we're going to take a deep shot. We're going to lure you into that. We're going to get single coverage out on Guillory. The entire second half of this game was Guillory committing 6, 7, 8 defensive PIs, 2 or 3 of which were called.
Yeah. Some of their other guys got involved as well, I think. They don't have – they're like one great cornerback away from being truly terrifying. But they don't have that one guy, mercifully.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or even just the classic dominant safety that you can like go cover one and the guy will like X out 3 verts just because he's so good. You know, the Earl Thomas type guy. I'm really pleased they don't have that guy to go with Venables front and all those pressures. All right, second quarter, 1st and 20, ball on the Auburn 37, 12:57 on the clock. We're going to get a stunt that sacks Jackson Arnold. But Ian, this stunt comes out of a 3-man rush with a simulated pressure. There is coverage everywhere. There's nowhere to go with the ball. And Auburn's 5 can't block OU's 3. Why? An inside stunt going across guys' faces. If you watched our other breakdown of the Texas offensive line against Florida, this will look familiar to you. And I promise you, Brent Venables is licking his chops at the prospect of running this stunt. Watch number 0 there on the interior. Watch Kip Lewis fake the sim pressure. He's going to drop off into coverage on the tight end. And then we're going to watch 0 go across 2 guys' faces. Boop, boop. And I'm going to plant and go. Guy's going to lunge at me. Another guy's going to lunge at me. And it's an easy sack. Jackson Arnold made a number of terrible decisions in this game. He held the ball too long. This is not an example. There's no one open. He can't, I don't think he can even get the ball out to like turf it in the ground, Ian. I mean, it happens that quickly.
Pretty rough. Pretty rough. This is the kind of the doomsday scenario this week, is that Brent Venables could be very tempted to fire 5, fire 6 at Texas and just really try to take it to this offensive line. But the much scarier scenario is that he drops 7, 8. He plays 3 deep flyover on the back end, and he still wrecks the line with movement. And Texas just DOA.
The key number here is 3. If they can get pressure with 3 running stunts and they can drop 3 deep, like 3 safeties standing across, and then play man under. So in other words, when Guillory squats on that route, he would be correct to do so, right?
Yeah.
That is the nightmare. That's where Texas gets potentially blown out. If you can't address that in any way.
Yeah. Or worse would be like losing 6-0.
Yeah, it'd probably be even more humiliating, right?
It'd be worse, I think.
The 2004 OU game, right? 12-0.
Yeah. We want the inverse of that. If you win 6-0, I just whatever. But to lose by a low-scoring margin like that, especially if it's Hawkins, would just be unforgivable.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, we tried to give you some ideas of where OU does have weaknesses, and this team has legitimate weaknesses that can be attacked. Texas has to devise a game plan. And Texas has to be persistent and durable on offense. We're going to have negative setbacks. We're going to have negative plays. The team that will win this game is the offense that can muddle through and still get their wrinkles in that are enough just to get the score where it needs to be to leave Dallas with the win. All right, that has been our deep dive. We hope you find it interesting, at least somewhat illuminating and enlightening. It's time for Hate Week. Of course, you need to go to Inside Texas for all the best conversation. And we really need you to like and subscribe this here channel, this here show. We're not going to keep making these shows unless you show your love and raise our standards in the algorithm. Also want to hear your comments. Let's bring it. Let's go.